Coach Jimmy here, and if you follow me for any amount of time, you know that my life didn't change until I changed my morning routine. If we haven't met before, my name is Jimmy Hayes Nelson. I'm a former 100-pound overweight, 3-time college dropout, and I got really good at doing one thing over and over and over again throughout my life when I was in that situation, and that was pointing fingers and blaming other people for why I was in the situation I was in. Even like trying to get into college, as mentioned, I dropped out of college 3 times, and every time I'd get to a situation and I'd have to work 2 jobs and I didn't really have the money to go to school. So it was really easy for me to point to other people and say, oh, you know what? Of course they're successful. Look, their mom and dad pays their tuition. They have X, Y, Z, and I could list all these reasons that I was like, if I had what they had, I'd be successful too. If I didn't have to drive an hour and a half to a job I hate, if I didn't have to get up this early and drive an hour to campus, if I only had, you name it, I was really good at blaming other people. And then I'd get in a situation and things wouldn't be ideal, and then I physically would move. Like I started in Dallas, I went to Oklahoma, went and worked at Disney World for a couple years, left there, went to school in Florida, really had nowhere else to go, to the point where I'm in my early 20s and my parents are calling me saying we're worried about you because all the maxed out credit cards, the letters and the notices are going back home. And finally, it took me getting back home, being completely humbled in my early 20s, having to move back in with my parents. 100 pounds overweight, a 3-time college dropout, and coming out of the shower one day, looking in the mirror and realizing there's one thing in common with all these places that I've gone and failed that wasn't fair to me, that the reason I didn't succeed. The common denominator was looking at me in the mirror. The common denominator was staring back at me and saying, look, Jimmy, it's you. And if you don't change, this is your life. And there's something right now that you keep thinking and hoping is just going to change and fix itself on its own. Maybe it's your physical body. Maybe it's your mindset. Maybe it's that job you're in. Maybe you're like, well, someday I'll get to travel more. Someday I'll get to do that thing that I'm passionate about. Or someday, if only. Oh, you know what? I scroll on YouTube, I'm looking on Instagram, and I see these people living a life they want to live. Look how fun it is. Like, they literally live their lives on social media and travel and stuff. I could never do that. The reason they can do it and I can't is because, and you just filled in that sentence with something in your head that really seems legit to you. It seems like an honestly good reason, and you know what? Maybe it is. But I just feel like, reasons are just well-decided excuses. And I know because I was that person. I can't have that body because. I can't get out of debt because. I can't travel. I can't study what I want to study. I can't do that because I don't know how. I don't have the means. I don't have the willpower. I don't have the motivation. And at the end of the day, none of that matters. Somewhere along the way, it has to hurt enough to move. Les Brown tells a story about an old man sitting on a porch. And he's sitting on a porch with his dog next to him. And a young kid comes by and the dog is moaning and groaning and moaning and groaning. And the young kid asks the old man, he's like, sir, why is your dog moaning and groaning? And the old man says, oh, that's easy. It's because he's sitting on a nail. And the little kid says, well, why doesn't he move? And the old man says, well, it doesn't hurt enough to move. It just hurts enough to moan and groan. And I gotta ask you, what are you doing with your life right now? Does it hurt just enough to moan and groan? Hey, I don't love my job, but it pays the bills and it's not terrible. I don't love where I am in, living a life that I enjoy, that I'm excited to wake up to every morning. I don't have a ton of energy, but I don't have really low energy. There's people worse off than me, and that's true. There's always gonna be people worse off than you. But that shouldn't limit you of living what's possible for you. And I didn't know what was possible for me. It only took other people seeing stuff in me and speaking life into me and saying, yes, you can. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to wait for permission from somebody else. You can take a step. You can start something. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not always going to feel like it. You're not always going to feel motivated, but I'm going to tell you, it's worth it. Start creating some standards in your life. Start making some non-negotiables. Change your life. For me, I had started with my morning routine. I went from a night owl, ending my night at 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning and not getting up till noon because I just thought, well, this is just the way I am. I'm not a morning person. To somebody who now I wake up about 4:30 in the morning with no alarm because I'm excited about my life. And I get up and I listen to something positive and I move my body and I journal and I live a life that I'm just stoked about. And I feel like I get more done before most people are awake in the morning, and I love it. I want you to be as excited about your life as I am about mine, to design it in your own way. I'd love to help you do that. And maybe that's just from changing your morning routine. You can see my morning routine. Go to productivebook.com. I have it all laid out there. And my routine doesn't have to be your routine, but sometimes it's nice to look at what somebody else is doing and pick out a few things. I want to know, what is it? What is that ideal life? Sit down with a piece of paper, and if you could have your ideal day, what time do you get up? Do you work out? Is there some journaling, a coffee? Do you move? Do you work? How much do you work? Do you work a couple hours a day? What is it that you want to do? Is it in music or fashion? Is it in travel, fitness, sports? Do you have a podcast? What is it? Are you philanthropic? Are you working in a nonprofit? Share that with me. I would love to create a conversation and continue this conversation with you in the comments, because I want to be your champion. I need a champions in my life to encourage me on, to say, yes, you can, and I want to be that person for you. My name is Coach Jimmy. I'm in this with you. Until next time, keep dreaming and take action.